Welcome, Gustavo. It's great to have you here. I give you the tool to present. I'm sure it's going to be a great presentation. Just like as a small intro, Gustavo has two great YouTube channels where he shares his knowledge about Elixir. Highly recommended to see his YouTube videos after the meetup. Okay, great. All right.
Okay, so welcome, guys. So my name is Gustavo. I've been working with Elixir since 2018, and thanks, Simon, to invite me. And also, I offer myself to join in this meeting because I know some difficulties with Elixir, and especially with using the live view. When you think about three levels about live view, I'm going to explain to you how to use all of them and how to navigate for each of them and how to create smaller components using the live view as well. And thanks for introducing myself. My name is Gustavo. I've been working with Elixir, as I mentioned to you guys, things like 4 years approximately. And I love the language. And now I'm working in Cloud Solution, which is a feature that we are using a lot of live view. We migrated the PHP to live view, which has been a really great result. But one of the things that I came across working using the live view, I started working with live view since that you need to install the live view in Phoenix 1.4, I think. And we have some difficulties, which is live view makes our life easier, but you need to learn some techniques that I'm going to explain to you. I'm going to develop a small application which is really powerful to elevate your levels using the live view. When you think about live view, I'm going to share my screen. You guys can hear me okay?
We can hear you perfectly.
Cool. So let me share my screen over here. So if you are seeing my screen, this is a really simple Elixir application. I just executed some commands like mixphx.new, Phoenix chips, and then I executed mixecto.create, and then I just started my application. And to think about the three levels about live view is that the first, you only create your pages using the live view. So this is the first level. I'm gonna make some notes over here. The notes is really simple, but when I started working with LiveView, when I see and I notice everyone who start working with LiveView use this step, creating pages using LiveView, and because you can use WebSocket easily. This is the first step, but you probably will figure out some problems with that. And one of them is that not using, okay, I just saw the chat, so thanks, Natalia. And one of them is that you create your page, but your code will be a little bit messy. And this is because you need to learn the second level, but let's start first creating the first level. And the first level will be, you can go ahead to your Elixir application. And also this video that this meetup and this presentation that I'm giving to you, you can find on my YouTube channel. I can share the link for all of you guys if you want. And also you can get the same material using the Curiosum. So here I'm gonna remove this one. Live, this is the main page live over here. And then let's create our first page, live page underscore live.ex. So basically, I'm not going to explain for all of you guys what's the communication with the JavaScript and the communication between the endpoint over here, the router, and the underscore web over here. You can take a look after this meetup. But here, when we start creating our Phoenix application, basically following the routes, you can just get your scope over here and create your module. Then we will use _view, and also I won't have time to explain all the life cycle using the live view, but I will give you. I'm just gonna create some pages, and then you can ask me if you have any question. But here we have the params, the session, and the socket. So here I'm going to provide a simple way to create our page, and I'm going to give you some advices as well. And this is the way we start creating your Phoenix, your live view application. To think about the live view, and then I will say use me here. Okay, I made a mistake. Where? Let me check. This one. Undefined or private. Phoenix Web Live View. Let me check over here. This one. Assigns. My first advice is that, thanks, Julian. My first advice and what I see that works really well is that creating this way our page. So here, I'm gonna remove the render and use this pattern to create our pages. And basically, what we are gonna do is that just provide some informations like values, which is gonna be a list 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, and total, which is gonna be in some values. Let's provide these variables in our application, and here we'll have our values, and then we will have our total information as well. And now let's just show those informations over here. And values, let's start with total. It's gonna be this one. And values, we're gonna use index values. For now, the value is more than enough. Now we start creating our page, which is really simple over here. But the secret about to move to the next level is that when I noticed someone that I worked comparing a live view with React or Angular or Vue.js split in smaller components. So one of the things that we're going to learn now is the second level. This level is that someone who does not have experience with live view start creating the page and create everything inside the same page, which is a problem. So if you take a look in our process, I'm going to show you one thing here on page 1. Self erlang dot. Let me just check this one. Erlang dot lead to list. And then to string. As you can see now, we have our process ID, which is really important. And then if I open the observer.start, which is a way to check your process and manage your process over here. So if you go to your process and see, you can take a look of this process over here, 901, this one. Then we have our pages. And one of the things that you will notice is that we have some components over here. And then you can see our structs that we have the total and the values as well. And let me open this one. You can check some informations over here. And the secret is that the first level, you just think about a live view as a page, like a static page, which is not correct. I recommend you to go to the second level. If you worked with applications using like React, creating smaller components, I'm gonna give you some examples how to build that. And the second and the third level, I'm gonna explain to you after the second one. And then you'll see the difference between your code and the communication between your page and your components. So the second level right now is that to start creating smaller components. So to do that, we're gonna convert this piece of code as a component. And to make this one easier, I'm gonna create a folder called count. And this one we can call count.ex. F module, gonna copy this piece of code to make this one easier. Count. I think this is more than enough for now. And now let's use underscore 5 underscore component. And now count.html.ex for here. Let's move this piece of code for this place. And now this is one thing that's really awesome using the live view, which is that you can use this way as an alias over here. I'm gonna include this alias over here. I'm gonna explain to you the third level. I saw some notice like create dynamic content, use functions, components, and bits to communicate with process. Yeah, exactly. But I mentioned that this is more about how can I explain? Because a lot of people start working with Elixir, but this example it's gonna make this one easier to think about the live view. So here I created this component over here, and to use that using the Phoenix 1.6 is live component module. This is the module. Our ID will be our index, and our value will be our value over here. And then let me just convert this one using the atom. Let's check. And then we have the same result. I'm gonna just give more information about my trunk number. Check one. And now we have the other result. We saw that our component is working. And if you check your process ID now, we have 3578 process. This is the RRD. 3578, this one. And then, as you can see your state, this was one of the explanations that I gave to my team when he was learning about the Liveview. Basically, if you think that your Liveview page is a big map, and then you have pieces of your map like components, and then you have the 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is the ID as well. And then you have your page. This is gonna make the things much more easier. But this is more about the second level, as I explained to you. So most of people stop with this step and having some difficulty with this one button and increment ELX click. This is the biggest problem. When you create a button like this one, and you don't know how to communicate your application, your Phoenix application, with all the pages, and where do you need to use the event? For example, here, when I click on that, this is not gonna redirect to my component, but this will redirect to our page live. And sometimes, if you are working with components, that's the secret. You need to manipulate the state of your component, not your page. When you do that, this is gonna make your page and your test much more easier to test your application and test and to create and split your application, your page in smaller components and in I would say pieces of pages. So here, this is gonna redirect to our page live, which is gonna be a problem. You need, for example, I want to increment inside this component. I don't know if I will have time, but what we can do now, I don't know if I will have time. I'm gonna try to explain that right now. We need to have the handle event inside our page live, but to do that, what we can make here is that, let me check this one. I'm gonna make some, just a simple example, and then start refactoring the code. So we'll have our handle event here, and then our event will be ink. Parents for us is not important. Then we will have our socket over here. And I'm just going to use this event over here to show you how it works. Here. Let me just refresh the page. Exactly. One of the things that's happening right now, as I remember about the live Phoenix 1.6, is that um, all of the components that you create is stateful. If basically, when you think about stateless and stateful, stateless basically you just render the HTML, but the stateful you create a state inside your component. And but to create a stateful component, you need to create an ID. But now in Phoenix 1.6, when I remove the ID over here, and also this is really tiny module, if I just remove this one, you can see that I will blow up my page. So as you can see, it's expected the ID. So basically, what I understand now about the live components, all of them are stateful. And this is because what I did here, when I click to refresh my page and click to ink, as you can check, I just click on ink now. Oops, something's happening. Okay. Was my bad here. This is no reply. When I click over here, you can check that we have the here. And basically what I wanna do is that update only this piece of component. This is part about the second level, which is keep the communication only on my small component over here. So what I'm gonna do is just create this way over here. Using the update, then we'll have our value, a function that we have the value. We're gonna create anonymous functions over here, like u1 plus 1. And now, what we can do here is using phx target at myself. Let me recompile the code. And this is really cool because when I click on here, I can update the information about my components. I would say that this one is the second level. When you start creating the communication between, you isolate the communication between your component and all the business rules and the behaviors inside your component. You create like stateful full components. But the third one, I would explain that you can use, for example, the pub sub and then other things about the backend, but this is more related about the front end. And this is because I'm going to explain to you this because if you notice, I can update the component, but I create this variable over here, total, and I need to update that. So basically, I have one of my nodes. The second level is that create components and maybe start thinking about start isolating the informations and state in your own component. So this is the second level. And the third level is that you can create like your page. And then you have your components over here. And then you have the information about your page, like the total. And start creating the communication between and isolate all the communications. This is the second step. And the second level is that I isolated the business rules, the states about my components, and I want to create a communication between my components if it's necessary, or even though I want to create events inside my component and I'll update my whole pages. So the third level is more about create components and start thinking about the communication between your component and your page. And I came across with that and explained to you, if you think that your process ID and your page is a big map, and then you create a communication between your big map, which is the big map is your page, and the smaller maps is your component. When we have a problem with um, a page, and then we isolated the component, and my team asked to me, what should I do, because I need to update this piece of the component. So I created the communication easily just using one line here, and I will explain to you how to do that. So let's start thinking about the third level. And the third level would be like, I updated the increment and I want to update the information about my total that I have over here. So to start doing that, what we can do is just using the send update. And if you notice, when we were debugging our process, oops, we have the 5778, this one. If you notice, the process to all whole page is the same. And what you can do, what we are gonna do now is just update the total information over here, and increment information when I click in wherever this component's over here. So to do that, we're gonna send this one to self. Then we will say increment, and then we will have handle info increment socket over here, and no reply socket for now. Let's see what's gonna happen now. Curiosum. So now when I click on here, oops, I think I made a mistake. Okay, let me check what I did here. I think it's send. Let me check. Send. So here, process ID, it's gonna be the same. Okay, good send. Let me just recompile the code. Are all the live components and paired components in the same process? Yes, that's the secret. Your parent and your component is the same process. And I spent like almost 1 year to figure that out. When I figured that out, and what I'm explaining to you here, you will notice that it's going to be much more easier to create live view pages. So this is one of the examples that I gave to my team, and they started creating simpler live view pages much more faster. So when I click on here, as you can see, we have the information that we are receiving the event in my parent. And now what we have to do that is just using the update again. We will update our total, and the information will be +1. So now we have a communication between our components. I'm sorry, made a mistake here. We have a communication between our components, and at the same time, we are updating the parent. So let me just check what's happening here. And the finance are invalid. So now we have the information correctly. And now, if you notice, we are updating our parent as well. But let's imagine that we need to create communication between our parent. What you can do that now is just thinking about, you could use the pub sub broadcast, but it works perfectly when you have a communication also between the parent and the children. So to do that, we can create another form over here. Then give you this form. So this is going to be a simple form, EHX submit. It's going to be an ink component. And then we'll have our input. The value will be a component ID. And we'll have our button, increment component. This is going to be our page. So if you notice now, okay, I made a mistake because I updated my component, my page, and at the same time, this is not going to be the value, this is going to be the name. I don't have experience with Redux or NGRX, but it means that, yeah, basically we have automatically synchronized page here, which is really powerful. I don't know how it works in React, but I just came across with this application to explain to my team, because I noticed that sometimes they had some difficulties to create the communication and to create components with Liveview. So here we have our component and our increment component. I'm just going to modify our ID like Curiosum component, just to show you how it works. Here, this is gonna be string. So I'm sorry, integer to string. Now let me check the process again. And now it's 5, 4, 3, 6, this one. Let me check if it's gonna open. $15, this one. Here you go. So now, as you can see, we have 4 components over here. Then, as you can see, you have the ID like Curiosum and more information about the components. And then we have all the information that I showed to you again. And now, to start updating the information, when I click over here, I'm gonna send, for example, our ID will be like Curiosum component. index 0. I'm gonna just give this information for this place over here. When I click on that, first our event does not exist. I'm just gonna keep this information over here, and let's create this event over here. F handle event component. So as you can see, we'll have our params. Our param is gonna be component ID. I'm gonna call this one like ID. This is more than enough. And we're gonna use the notify socket, but at the same time, we're gonna update increment inside my page. And now let's use the send underscore update. For this example, it's gonna be this count over here. The ID will be our ID. The value new ink will be 1. I think this is more than enough for us. And then we'll blow up our page again. And I'm gonna explain to you the param matchings using the Liveview, which is really great tool. And few people knows how to use that. So now, when we send, create a little bit this one simpler, like this one. You just refresh the page. And as you can see, I'm gonna send this information over here. This is gonna blow up a little bit, or not, sorry for that, but it does not blow up because if you check over here, we don't have our update, so we need to create our update and assigns and socket here. Okay, and socket. And if I do that, this is gonna be the default, and probably our page is gonna fail now. And this is gonna fail because we did not assign our values over here. So this is gonna be simpler to solve. So we only need to use this one. Only assigns all those informations over here. But the most important here is that we're gonna receive a new information, which is the ink, new increment. So here, when we receive this guy, it's okay, we have like the socket, but let's inspect this guy. Middle, new, receiving updates. This is more than enough. Now, so now let's use the Curiosum. For 0, when I do it, as you can see, we are receiving the updates over here, and then we have the default update, which is just receive the assigns and create our component. And this one, we are receiving a new information. And if you notice, I am updating the total, but I did not update the component. So to do that, we only need to use the assign again, but this time is going to be the value plus new ink. And when I send over here, it should update our information. What's happening here? Boom, boom. Let me check what's happening. We are receiving that. For some reason it does not update. I made a mistake over here probably. Let me check. Curiosum, increment, and a blow up. Let me check why. Function. So, I used that sign of the update. My mistake here. Again, and as you can see, I update the total and the number over here. When I send this one again, I am updating this component over here. If you notice, I can use this way to update this component now. Here, as you can check, it is working. And when I click here, I create the communication between the page and the components. That's the third level, thinking about the communication between your page, and think that your page is a process, and inside your process ID in your page, you have the components and the information about your page. The third level is more about to create a communication between, create a simple communication, create tiny components, separate, isolate the responsibilities, and create the communication between the process. I think this all for this presentation. Let me know if you guys have any questions and some things that I can help. I think that's all.
All right, so at this point, we turned on the Q&A. So if anyone has a question, we'll just publish the question in the middle, and you will be able to see it, Gustavo.
Okay. So what's the third level? When I mention about the third level, if you go to my presentation, is to create components and start thinking about the communication between your components and your page. I know that you can think about the pub sub and the broadcast, but this is a piece of to create the communication. Basically, when you think about the broadcast and the pub subs, what you're gonna send is just events to your handle info over here, and your handle info is gonna broadcast inside the page. So basically, that's the third level. Thinking about the communication between process, your components and page. Did I answer your question? Okay, thanks. You guys have any feedbacks about if you guys worked with Liveview? Have you seen this information before in this communication? Yes, I do. I use Liveview in production. I think I deployed almost 5 Liveview applications in production. We are communicating with components using PEDs. Where do we start? That's a good question. As I mentioned to you, that's a good question. If you check this one, this is really cool question. You have this process over here, and if I want to know the process, we are communicating with components using PEDs. No, we have the communication between the same page, but the same page we have the same PED, the process ID. as I showed to you over here, this is not, let me just close this one. Okay, did you understand? Okay. Is there a global map? Not a global map exactly. Does handle goes to the parent only by default? Yeah. When you use the handle underscore, this is gonna access for the first time to the parent. You need to use the at myself to explain to the components that the component is gonna handle with the event. But handle info, you can only use, as I understand until now, you can only use the handle underscore info inside your page. And it makes more sense because that's the parent. This presentation that I gave for all of you guys, you can check on Curiosum YouTube channel, and you can check on my YouTube channel. If I can share with you guys.
Just in case.
Simon, can I share the link about this presentation on my YouTube channel here?
So I basically posted your YouTube channel link on the top of the screen. So
okay,
if anyone wants to go there, I think all of you can see that it's it's a red button, and Gustavo channel ELXPRO. Before that, is it in English? Because I know you have two channels.
Yeah, one in Portuguese and another one in English. ELXPRO BR is in Portuguese and ELXPRO is in English.
Right.
You asked me about if I use a Liveview in production, and yes, I do. Which is
right.
really
And
great.
do you have any anything that you can share with us? Whether it's like a very solid thing, because I have my own experience with Liveview in production, but I'm curious how is yours.
Okay, let me check here. This is actually this is one of the systems that we built, which is there's, I don't know if I have in page here. There's we have the actual system, the MVP right now we have in production, but unfortunately I don't have the link right now. But another systems that I built was using the intranet. This is internal systems, but I can show you some information after the call if you want.
Right? Would you recommend it as a stable solution? Did you have any problems with implementing that, or is it like something that you would consider as production ready?
So it's I think it's extremely stable. I think, as I mentioned to you, 4 systems in production right now. 4 or 5 systems that I worked, and this is in production right now. It's really stable, extremely powerful. One of them was using the Elasticsearch and Kafka, and the result was really cool.
All right. As a side note, if anyone thinks of using Liveview, I wouldn't recommend to use Heroku for that. They have some. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. I wouldn't recommend Liveview for using Liveview and Heroku as a server infrastructure solution, because they have some socket limitations. That's like a extra information. But we used Liveview as well, and I have the same feeling that it's already stable and production ready. It's a great tool. I wouldn't say it's a replacement for React for all of the cases,
Yeah.
But it's definitely something that you can consider for most of the things that React will do.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree.